home. That's where the real education should take place. So we get to the point where we train our own children to supply our needs in the community, our urban development, our growth, our intellectual improvement, and let them suck in all our talent from our communities. We think about this. Then we can get to the point where realize that some things they just can't pay you to do against your own black interests. Some things they can't pay you to do. Got one brother in the news, he wanted more money, so now he got grand jury indictments against him, doing foolish stuff. Says he got a racial attack just for more money. What's your thought process? What kind of thought process is that? Now he end up with no job in a worse situation than when he started out, from no critical thinking skills, none at all. Just trying to make money. All money ain't good money. All money is not good money. And some things you just ought not do for money. And we have the ability to educate our own children, provide jobs, hospitals, etc. But where there is no vision, the people perish. And our politicians, they're totally useless. Totally useless. And one of the first things they could do is after elections or during between their elections, organize the people in their churches and teach them the political process and how they elect officials in the community. And most important, give them the results of the recent ballot. Once the voting is over, nobody knows what's going on. Everybody disappear and go in their own corners. You should have a session where we go through the ballots and stuff and go through the results of the elections and see what happened, analyze them, teach them about the political process, how to put ballots on the measure that will benefit them in their particular community, and how to take control more of the resources within that community. All these things need to be done together. And if you organize to your own political block, own political party, and demand a list, and we're going to come out with a list of items, a list of items that we need to demand. And I looked at that the State of Black America report from the Urban League. That's useless. It's just talking. It's good to have statistics and data that we can measure performance against, but there's no action plan. It's a wish list. Let's quit begging. Quit wishing for stuff. See, I have a different mindset, man. I had to fight my way through everything. Most time I was the only black person there. I have to fight my way through everything. And even now, going through the court system and trying to get justice from these judges who, you already know. You got some brothers, they get a speeding, they get a ticket, they won't even go into the courthouse. It could go into default and they end up a warrant. They will not go into the courthouse. But they will not go to an attorney to seek help to get it resolved. They just let it go bad. Then all of a sudden they get picked up on a warrant. It just don't make no sense. We want to create an institution where we'll be there for you. But first of all, it'd be so much easier if you do what's required to help yourself. And with Trump, we should see the writing on the wall. We keep repeating the same thing over and over again. We should see the writing on the wall. We need to be able to plan in advance. We should be able to see in advance. Instead of going to these buildings with these useless prophetic messages that don't do anything to change your condition, that's ridiculous. We do things a little different at the Temple of Inner Peace and Prosperity because we know the kingdom of heaven is within. And God works through us. Faith without action is dead. Have faith in this program. Then put your energy, effort, and enthusiasm behind it. I guarantee you, before Trump's get out of office, things will be different. We shouldn't care who's the president. And we're going to stop them from bringing the war machines into our community to destroy our progress every time. But just like the anthill, if you tear it down, within a week it's built back up again. We have to be resilient. But we have to think. Learn to think. And quit fussing and bickering over nonsense. And now they're chasing us out of our cities because they want the cities back. And we just give away property and moving out to those same properties that they was in the same properties in the community, if they was in these suburban neighborhoods, they'll be very valuable assets. But because they're in the community, they're redlining, they keep the prices artificially down, you say they're worthless, so you try to chase somebody else out the neighborhood. Well, that's a trick. It's a trick. The inner city, that's valuable. That's valuable real estate. Man. Come on, guys. Put your name, email address there. It's a journey, man. We're going on a journey. It'll be a beautiful journey. Beautiful journey of enlightenment. Leave the past behind. Learn from the past. Build on the mistakes of the past. They've given every other group that they've done harm to, they give them reparations. Even the Japanese, they was in term for a few months, and they gave them reparations. But we can't get reparations. You got some blacks say, no, we don't need reparations. We don't need affirmative action. And even if you don't need it, help another brother and sister to come up, to understand. Help, and don't forget about them. We get cushy and we forget where we come from. And then you talented professionals out there, you know what I'm saying, go through the program, because once the reason I want everybody to go through the program is that at the end of the day, when the money starts flowing, we don't want nobody to say they broke or what they used to have. We want to turn the page on that. We're going to turn the page on that. So, we got about 25 minutes left. Let's, now I was going to say this for next week, but we might as well go ahead and talk about it right now. All right, Lee, I need to get into this discussion here, man.
All right.
Let me get this, let me bring forth this false argument here. Let's see if we can develop this false argument. The police, it says, what is the difference? The question is, what is the difference between police shootings and neighborhood crimes, violence against each other? What's the difference between police shootings, blacks in the community, and then they say, well, if you want to stop the police from shooting each other, first you should be concentrating on black crime shooting each other. Is there a difference between the two?
There's a vast difference. Number one, the police are paid employees. Number two, the police shoot blacks with impunity. They never convicted. The condition of black on black crime is something that has been carefully orchestrated throughout America, throughout the time and the places in America. It's always been, it's a form of divide and conquer.
What about terrorism, man?
It is terrorism.
Terrorism, that's right.
What people don't realize is the Bloods and the Crips were originally formed because white hooligans, if that's such a word.
It is.
White hooligans were moving into the black neighborhoods, terrorizing the people.
Right.
The Bloods and the Crips were formed for self-defense, and through the environmental pressures that black people go through in this country, they ended up fighting each other, which is what American society intended for them to do from day one. They gave them the guns with which to kill each other. They gave them the cocaine for the motivation to kill each other. and they made sure that they had no other resources for an alternative program. So,
I mean, they took the jobs out of the community. This was intentional. This was war. They waged war, man. And we have to remember, one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. You know what I'm saying? So, just they play on words, especially when they control the narrative. Now, when I look at these court cases on these blacks are getting shot down, right? And you want to know, what? Then they say, well, and then they come back with the district and say, well, based upon the law and ethical considerations, there's no way that we could find the police officers guilty. Like, hold up. Now, you grassroots brothers and stuff, you community activists, right? This program gives you meat, man. You can fund your operation and process. But when dealing with police brutality, right? First of all, what is the law that you're relying on? You making that statement. What is the law? Is it like the Florida stand your ground law that allow you to shoot a man down in the back when he's retreating from you? No matter what he is, and you taking justice in your vigilante justice, right? You shoot him. And then what are the ethical considerations that you're taking? I heard ethical considerations. First, the law, that's not good enough. You can't find a law that validates shooting a man in the back when he's retreating. Then you say ethical considerations. I didn't know that was a basis to determine a man's innocence or not. You know what I'm saying? So they're thinking we can't think. They just throw anything out there. But what brings to my mind is that, remember the Dred Scott decision? You remember the Dred Scott decision?
Dred Scott decision. Dred Scott was a slave who escaped into the free state of Missouri. He went to court saying that since he was in the free state, he should be free. The Supreme Court, it went to the Supreme Court. They ruled against Dred Scott, saying that he could not be free, number one. And the essence of the case was that black people had no rights that white people were obliged to honor.
That's it. That's why they shoot the brothers in the back. That's why they shoot them, and they always getting off. Because a white jury knows that law. They carry that in their bosom. And that's why when you have a jury that's not now white, they're gonna be convicted. Right?
Right.
Because you have to have a jury of your peers. They always violate that. But there is no law concerning a black man that the white men need to respect and honor. That's why they're getting off. That's why they're getting off. And the 13th Amendment was supposed to have abolished that case ruling, right? But all it did was enslave blacks through the back door of the 13th Amendment.
The 13th Amendment ended slavery with the exception of if you're convicted of a crime. Slavery is no longer ended.
So
the people who were convicted of the crime, black people.
So they artificially created crimes that first they gave you the bait, then they criminalized them.
Right. The crimes were minor, vagrancy, misdemeanor, and you could go to jail for life.
Chain gangs. So they got slavery back again. And then to this day, that's why you got slave labor and the corporations that are building all these products and so forth. And that's why the rich are getting richer and the poor is getting poorer.
And that's another thing that we have to recognize. All this is in the Constitution. 13th Amendment is in the Constitution.
It needs to be abolished, man. The 13th Amendment needs to be abolished.
But not only the 13th Amendment, maybe the whole Constitution needs to be abolished.
We're not going to be able to abolish the whole Constitution.
Okay.
So other than the 13th Amendment, there's really, let's take it piece by piece. You know what I'm saying? But the 13th Amendment, that's a major piece. What other piece that's...
Well, Article 2, blacks are 3/5 of a human being. I mean, when you talk about dehumanizing people, you can stop right there.
But
as far as I'm concerned.
Well, okay.